This team arrived back home a week ago today. They spent a couple of weeks traveling to Burkina Faso, and this was our 18th team to go to the village of Badara. We've seen some interesting things happen. You know, it was a year or so ago that, not quite a year, that we were praying about what do we do? How is this going to work? What's it going to be like? We had some serious setbacks, but since that time, God has really begun to open some doors. And you're going to hear some of the things that started in a trip or two ago, and they've been continuing on. And I'm going to ask these guys a couple of questions and let them explain to you some of the miracles and some of the just funny things that have happened in the last trip they were there. Plus, you'll see that God's carrying on His work even when we're not there. I'm going to start with you, Ross, and one of the things that you indicated was that there was a special testimony about the young woman and what had happened to her husband that she shared with you. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Let's share that with us.
This is just proof that small miracles take place every day, and we just aren't seeing them a lot of times. A lady had come up to the hill to speak to us, and she was a Christian, and Don had asked her to share her testimony with us. And this is a lady that never knew God, never knew Christ, never knew about Him or anything, but just felt it in her heart that something was missing, that she knew that the Lord was calling out to her. She asked her husband if she could follow her heart and seek out Christ, and his answer was no. And I don't know, for those of you who've never been to Burkina Faso, when the husband says no, it's no. It's no question, it's no argument, it's just no, plain and simple. Well, she prayed about it anyway. And one morning, the husband woke up and just said, yes, you can see Christ, you can seek Him out, but only if the church is close to us. And by whatever means, they happened to move to to Badara, and live probably within, a half mile of the church or less, not even that. And she's attending the church now, just like that. No reason for moving, just they upped and moved. And after that, after she had shared her testimony, which this kind of blows me away anyway, I said, would you ask your husband to come see us on the hill tonight? We'd like to talk to him. And that night he came. Which I was flabbergasted that he showed up. I mean, this is a man that told his wife, no, you can't do that. Had a softening of the heart and said, well, yeah, you can do it, but count me out. And yet he was coming up to share or talk with me about Christ. And, of course, I shared a story from the Bible, and it was actually, I'm going to mispronounce his name, Nicodemus.
That's perfect.
And how sometimes faith comes to us slowly. And he walked away that day, I think, with it on his mind.
Amen.
And it I was so excited, I went in and told the girls, I call them the twins.
Wonder why?
Which one?
No, I said I wonder why.
Oh, I wonder why. Sorry. My ears still haven't opened up from the flight over, so I'm a little hard of hearing still. And spending 2 weeks with them, I'm glad.
Yeah. Whoa. Never make fun of anybody who speaks after you on the program, Ross. That's the rule of public speaking. Well, I want to say something about what Ross did. That we had a mix-up. This was, most of you know this, you've been praying this direction. This was supposed to be a crusade. And we were supposed to have, somebody's watch is bothering everybody. Everybody's looking up. I'm like, what's going on? And that fell through. Our Burkina Faso that lives here in America that was supposed to go with us called me after we had purchased his plane ticket, which is non-refundable, non-transferable, and said, I can't go. If I go, I can't come back. And so he was not able to go. And I prayed about it, and I just said it's not the right time for me to go. And so I called Ross, and just a couple of weeks before they were to leave, and said, "Hey, man, you've been talking about God using you in Africa." I said, "He can use you." He said, "I need to go." I said, "You need to go." And so he said, "I'll check." And the only reason he didn't tell me yes immediately was he had to make sure it was okay with his job to get off for 2 weeks. And he called me back within 24 hours and said, "I'm going." And so he did that on the fly and did a fabulous job. And I appreciate that, Ross, and I appreciate it because I didn't have to go. And you did a wonderful job while you were there. So I just wanted to let you know that. And the thing about coming to the Hill, we say that very nonchalantly when we've been there, but that is the thing. They come and visit us. It's a very relational country, and that's just the proper thing to do. And when you invite them and they come, they are very interested in what you have to say. They want to hear about Jesus Christ. And the phrase that Ross used was sometimes it is like Nicodemus, where they're processing and thinking through it. It's not like you and I, where they make this rash decision and say, "Oh, it's the best thing in the world," and then don't follow up on it. They think through it because it's a big deal to them. It causes trouble. It causes some of them to be ostracized. It causes everybody to be ostracized to some degree. But our presence there over the last 5 years has helped with that. And that's probably the biggest blessing that God has given us, is that now you can be saved, follow Jesus, and they don't kick you out of the village, or some people cock their head at you, but it's not like it was when we first started going there. So it's a great blessing to hear that, and that when people come to the Hill to hear about the gospel, it's just an exciting, exciting thing. Well, Wendy, the chief came to the Hill and had something exciting to tell you. What was the most exciting thing he had to say?
Well, our gift this time, we meet with the chief every time we go into the village. It's just customary. It's respectful to make sure he knows that you're there and what you're doing. And Jeff, when he went in October, shared Christ with the chief in the dirt. It was really cool. If you've never seen the sketch that Jeff does about coming to know Christ, yes, the one verse evangelism. If you've never seen that, get Jeff to show you that, or get somebody to show you that. It's really wonderful. It's how I came to know Christ as well. And so he shared that with the chief in the dirt, and then Jeff took a picture of him in front of this sketch. And Jeff had it mounted and framed, and we brought it back as a gift for the chief. He was so excited.
Really?
He was really excited. And he said, every time someone sees this picture, I'm going to be able to tell them what that drawing means, because
Really?
I remember the story. That's exactly what he
man.
said. He said, I can't really share with people what y'all tell me, but they're going to ask, and I'll be able
Sweet.
to tell because of the picture. And I have chills thinking
Me
about
too.
it, because he was very excited.
Now, if he'll just accept it, that'll be good.
I know. If he would just accept Christ, it would just be all that much better. And he also said, I feel since Southside has been coming to Badara, he said, my Badara's hearts are changing.
Oh, man.
He said,
It's the first time I'm hearing this stuff. That's why I'm reacting this way.
my heart has, my soul, my heart, myself, I have so much darkness, but I can feel light taking it over.
Holy smokes.
And we were just in awe. We were just sitting there thinking, oh my gosh,
God
I
is
can't
good.
believe he's
Yeah.
expressing that. And he was genuine in his expression as well. And then he said something about his about the church on the hill. He said, this building is a building for y'all to stay, but I see in the future that it's a church, and that my grandson will be the pastor of the church on the hill.
Holy cow. Yeah.
It was an amazing,
Man, that is
amazing
incredible.
feet. It was great. It was wonderful.
God is just too good. This is just unbelievable. Those words, and they don't say those things just to make us happy. That is phenomenal stuff. So Dawn, why don't you tell us then, after we've heard so much special things already, what'd you do that was special to you?
When we got there, Samuel, which is a pastor of the church across the street, his wife had a baby. She was not doing his wife was not doing so well. Her blood pressure was very high, so she had to stay in the clinic. So we didn't get to see Samuel a whole lot this visit because he was going back and forth to see his wife and taking care of the 3 children at home, which men do not do over there. So he was having a hard time without his wife/maid. And sorry,
Bless
that
God
was just
for the
extra.
Burkina women, yeah.
That was just a bonus. So we got to go and see the baby, but beforehand we said, "What's the baby's name?" And he said, "Oh, we don't name our children. It's customary for the children to be named by a friend who comes to visit after they come home, and they haven't come home yet." So we were visiting with his wife and the new baby, and he says, "Does anyone want to name him? And anyone have a name for him?" And I was reading in 1 Samuel that morning where David had spared Saul's life, and I said, "David, it took a lot for him to spare his life. He was pursuing him and going to kill him. He had the right to kill him, but he didn't. He spared him, and I think David would be an awesome, strong name for your son." And he said, "His name is David. I got to name their baby while I was over there."
That's cool. Yes. All right, Ross, tell us about your biggest adventure on this trip.
Oh, boy. Yeah, there were quite a few. But the most exciting one was a trip in a taxi with no suspension, which isn't all that uncommon over there. But we were looking. What were we looking for? The gas in the bags. They make bags out of recycled plastic bags over there. And through some misinterpretation and some misunderstanding, we ended up looking for the factory instead of the sales store. Well, the factory is located on the very, very, very edge of Bobo. I mean, literally from where the factory stood, you looked out and saw nothing. To get there, you get off the main road and you go down some, I wouldn't even call them roads. I wouldn't even call them goat trails. They were more four-wheel drive type roads or paths to travel on, and we were in a taxi with no suspension, and it's not a small car, it is a compact car. So there are 4 of us in this taxi. I'm in the front seat with my knees on the dash, my head on the ceiling, and
The man said you were a real man. They always look at Ross, and they're like, "Oh, she's a real man." And then one man, they said, "He's a real man," like that. And I said, "Don't let that go to your head, please." And then one man, he said, "We need to move him back." He was trying to put him over the axle because he didn't want him riding in the vehicle, not over the axle.
so yes, I am a real man.
Yeah,
Yes,
you are.
That's the
man.
point of the story.
Ross, tell us a little bit about Adama while you've got the mic.
Okay.
Y'all remember Adama, who came here and spoke to us?
Adama, he's just an awesome person and Christian, and I really look up to the man. Adama does not have a steady job.
Hang on. He's the one holding the stick, and that stick is not for support, it's for the kids.
Yeah.
If you didn't see him, he's in the picture in the top left there with the stick. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
A good disciplinary measure in my book, but
Spare the rod, spoil the child.
there you go. But
Hey, you take it literally.
getting back to what a good man he is.
Child beater.
Not only does he beat the children, but He doesn't beat him, no. He's just, he loves Christ, and he loves God, and it shows every day and everything he does. And I had the opportunity to talk to him a little bit on the side and get to know him a little bit better. And just everything he does is for Christ and to spread the word over there. And it's just so difficult to be that way. I mean, I don't know if you all heard his story. I believe he told his story when he was here, you know, how his family first ostracized him and everything. But, you know, he struggles just to make a living. But everything he does and wants to do involves Christ. He's thinking about starting his own business in the mission support area, and actually, I got to name something. He's going to open his business as a mission. Adama's Missions Logistics Incorporated.
Surprised it's not Howard.
AML.
Just kidding. Go ahead. Nobody knows your last name,
I
so
come
that wasn't
back
funny.
here to this, but I tell you, I love my neighbor. Okay.
That good?
So
Yeah, we need it. We
need to
are.
pray for him.
I'll be talking with Autumn's friend who is in Pennsylvania to see how we can help with his business. So be in prayer for that. So Wendy, tell us about the scariest moment you had there in the village.
There was quite a few scary moments,
Okay.
but
Scariest?
it was dark, and dark in Burkina is really dark. And so we had a little flashlight, and Dawn and I, in the evenings when the men come, we stay inside. I tend to speak when I'm not spoken to, so yeah, that's funny. So staying inside away from the men conversation is probably the best idea for me. And so we were playing cards, and we were sitting on the floor, and Dawn said, "Oh, my goodness, a mouse just came in the window." I said, "A what?" She said, "A mouse. It's a mouse. It's in the window. It's right there." And it's an open air, so they can just crawl in and crawl back out. So I was going to be the brave one, and I picked up the broom, and I went over there. I was going to swoosh him out the same way he came in. He is Mighty Mouse. He did not get scared, and he did not go out that window. He came at me, and I started screaming, and she started screaming, and we jump up on top of these boxes, and all we hear from the boys are, "Girls, is everything okay?" No, it is not okay. So they come in, they're looking for it, can't find it. It's gone behind the new bookshelf, and they can't find it, sneaky little devil. But they found, hold your ears, Davelyn, before I say this, I'm sorry, and Jordan, hold your ears, a lizard that big. No lie. And they called Samuel. He came over with his machete, and we were already zipped up in our bug bivvies. You know, nothing's getting us in there. And they say, "Girls," what do they say when they come in the door? "Lizard hunters, lizard hunters." And so they came in, and gouged that sucker with that big old machete, and it was, it was disgusting. They probably took it outside and put it on the spit.
They probably ate
They
it.
probably did. Yeah, it was probably pretty
kids
good.
did.
It was huge. I couldn't believe it, and it was in our room with us the whole time.
Yeah, there are some fun times over there as well. We've seen.
I got to tell you how big the mouse was, though.
A little bit bigger.
No.
Just a little bit bigger. Hey,
With its tail. And that's what they were originally scared of.
It died. It's dead now.
It ate at the wrong restaurant.
Dawn, tell us what the chief said about the children.
This is my most exciting part because we go over there and we can't really talk to the men, and we know that when men change their hearts, the people will follow. But we go over there time after time and tell story after story, Bible story, and we train these children up in the ways of the Lord. And I just want to see some of that come around, you know. And so while the chief was telling all of this exciting stuff to us, he said, I need to tell you that Badara's heart is changing, but I hear the children telling your stories in town. And he thought that was why the people were coming, you know, turning it around. But he said, and let me tell you, when those children become adults, their parents will be very old and they have to take care of their parents. Their parents will have to listen to them. Those children will be Christians. Their parents will have to become Christians. And I thought, the chief has thought this through, but that the children are sharing is huge, because kids are not, they're seen sometimes, but they are not heard. But that they're sharing makes it all worth it.
Yeah, even if it's just with others, they are a very oral people. Most of them do not read. Most of them do not write. So they hear a story, and you and I would think when they're telling the story that, you know, they may be telling it in a childlike way, but because they don't read and write, and in order for these things to be passed down, God has gifted them with an incredible ability to repeat the story almost word for word. Dawn will tell a story, you know, a 15-minute story, and then, hey, can you repeat that back to me? And they will repeat it back with very little help, almost verbatim. And it's incredible how they do this. The adults do that, as I've shared with you before. We are also reaching another village, which is about 10 kilometers away, by God's sovereignty, in that these folks were here, heard the story, went back and started telling the stories in their village. Those two guys didn't get saved, but several others did after hearing the stories. So we're excited about that. And some other things are happening that are really going to increase our ability to share the gospel. We did something to further that. Ross, tell us about the desk that you bought and that Adama had made and brought to the village. Ross, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, school there is nothing like we are here. You don't get your own desk. They share. Usually about 3 or 4 kids per desk. And when we were there in October with Jeff had asked the chief, you know, how can we help? And the chief, being the great man that he really is, didn't ask for himself, didn't really ask for the village, but asked for the children. And he said, basically, we need desks. You know, they're running out of desks. They don't have enough for the kids to sit at. So through donations from you and the church, we bought, 20 desks, which times 3 is what?
60.
60. So 60 kids can sit, at least.
They'll fit 6 of them
Sometimes, yeah.
Now, they asked for 4 or 5. They said, can you buy 4 or 5 desks? And I said, I will let you know. How many do you need? What's the most desks you can use? And at that point, he told me 20, and that's what I brought back to you.
Yep. As in Africa, you can plan, but rarely does the plan go through. The day the desks were to arrive, we were very nervous. Adama kept calling and calling and calling and calling, and we're like, they're coming, they're coming, they're coming. And that whole day we were just nervous, just waiting for the desk to show up, and they finally showed up. And, of course, we called the chief and let him know that they were there, and it was kind of a little bit spontaneous, which is typical for Africa. But we were blessed to be able to present them to the school, and the teachers all came out, and the chief and a couple of men from the village, and it was just wonderful to be able to share with them and tell them that, you know, these aren't gifts from Southside. These are really gifts from God. That's right. That God works through us to give to you, and it was just hard to describe the scene. Just
now, thank you guys, and give them a hand as they're leaving. And that it may sound trivial to you, but as I shared with you when we were talking about these desks, that's very important, because the more people that can read, the more we can leave the written word, the Word of God, with them, so that they're able to read it for themselves, and they're able to tell the story of Jesus to the folks who are there.